Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to take a look at a puzzle called Cradle by Xenonetix. Now this puzzle has been recommended to us by none other than the maths professor Dorlir. And a couple of our testers had a look at it too, and they said, what did they say? It was something about, it's a great puzzle for learning about basic maths and how numbers work, which sounds intriguing, but it comes with fulsome recommendations from them as well. 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty, and a zipper line. These are zipper lines, these lavender lines in the grid, and then these clues outside the grid are not sandwich Sudoku clues. They're a completely new type of thing. I will tell you, they're consecutive sums within the rows and columns, which is a very peculiar idea. But anyway, this is what we're going to be having a go at in today's video. Now, I've got loads of things to tell you about before that. Firstly, thank you so much if you joined us for streaming last night. Mark and I had a blast again on our third expedition into the world of Temetsi. We got stuck a couple of times, but it wasn't too bad, and there was only one wine click in the whole stream, which is really very unusual. So I'm feeling cock-a-hoop about that. Anyway, we'll get back to more streaming probably next week. But again, thank you if you did watch. Next, tomorrow, our Fog of War app should go live. The moment I get the news, I will tweet about it. So our Twitter handle is @CrypticCracking if you don't follow us already, and I'll be able to provide you with the links to the app on Android, on App Store, and on Steam. But I'm not sure when tomorrow it will happen. But this new Fog of War app is going to be absolutely, well, it is incredible. The puzzles in it are incredible, by the likes of Marty Sears and Codec and Fistamafel and the Peddling Pianist, etc., etc. Just fabulous constructors who have really done us proud. So big thanks to all of those puzzle makers for making something that I think all of you are really going to like. And then over on Patreon, of course, we have Duality 2, which is our Sudoku competition for the month. There did seem to be some interest last night in potentially the prize for that competition, which we're going to offer the chance to make a Sudoku video with me. So you've got until the 20th. You don't have to take that prize. You can have a different prize if you'd rather not. I completely understand that. But that is something that we are going to be attempting this month. Now, what else? Birthdays. Let's do some birthdays and other announcements. Tom, over there in Canberra, Australia, it's your birthday today. And I know this because Elizabeth wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out, and apparently you especially enjoy watching the crossword videos on Fridays. Well, by the time this video goes live, there may be a crossword video, because tomorrow is Friday. It's already basically Friday in Australia. And certainly I am intending to record a crossword video tomorrow morning, UK time. So I'm not sure whether you'll get this message before or after you watch that one, Tom, but many happy returns. Next, this isn't a birthday, but a five-year anniversary to Russell and Victoria. Russell wrote to us and said, Victoria, you should definitely get a shout out. Apparently you celebrated your 5-year anniversary with tiramisu rather than chocolate cake. It's just about okay. And you enjoy solving the puzzles together, while Olive the cat enjoys watching the videos. It's amazing how many cats seem to enjoy watching the channel. I think the cursor, they find it fascinating. The next is lovely. So one of the constructors who we featured on the channel before, Blackjack Fitz, left the house this morning and wondered if we could do a birthday announcement for his son, who is almost certainly going to be born today. That is apparently the best guess that Blackjack Fitz had. So if Michael Fitzgerald, you have made an appearance in the world, many happy returns to a bright new star of the Sudoku future. I do hope everything's gone well, Blackjack Fitz. Do let us know. And yeah, many happy returns to young baby Michael. Next, Oh, next, Bertie. Bertie, it's your birthday today, and I met you at our Stratford get-together. I've got a picture. There we go. There's me with Bertie. Now, your friends, Aaron, Adam, and Matt, wrote in and said you'd appreciate a shout-out, and that you... presumably you told Marty Sears at the Stratford gathering that you like the Rat Run puzzles. If you do like the Rat Run puzzles, well, I'm not certain. I know there is a new one. And I might do it tomorrow on the channel. The only reason I'm being hesitant about that is sometimes we have puzzles scheduled for particular days, and I can't remember from my diary whether tomorrow is one of those days. But if not, I will certainly have a look at Marty's new one tomorrow. Anyway, many happy returns, Bertie. Next, Iris. Iris, it's your birthday, and I know this because your partner, I'm going to say Jari? It could be Yari. Is it? Oh yeah, it's more likely to be Yari. It's like Jari Litmanen. I remember Jari Litmanen. I'm pretty sure Jari Litmanen. Well, he played for Liverpool. So it could be Yari. So Iris, anyway, it's your birthday. And I rather liked Yari's description. He said that you're a puzzle enthusiast, but puzzling has become a hobby from watching Cracking the Cryptic. That's great. And then Frida, you've turned 21 today, and I know this because your sister Jenny wrote to us over there in Norway. And Frida, we have you to thank for getting Jenny into the channel. I really like hearing when people spread the word about Cracking the Cryptic and find that actually, often it's surprising people really do get into it. And that's all the announcements. So let's turn our attention to doing some Sudoku solving and have a look at Cradle by Xenonetix. I will read you the rules of this one. We've got normal Sudoku rules applying. Now that means we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Zipper lines. Digits an equal distance from the centre of the purple line must sum to the digit in the centre of that purple line. So let's give this a colour. What that means is that this digit plus this digit, you can see these two cells are an equal distance away from the centre, have to add to the green digit. So if this was 1 and this was 2, that would be 3. That's not a 3 in the corner that merits a song, I'm afraid. But that is how zipper lines work. Now this is the funny rule. Consecutive sums. A clue outside the grid indicates the total of any digits in its row or column that neighbour at least one consecutive digit within that row or column. For example, if a column reading downwards, actually we can put this in, contains the digits 1, 2, 8, 3, 9, 6, 5, 4, 7. The clue at the top of the column would be 18. Which is the sum of 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6, which are the only digits which neighbour a consecutive digit within that sequence. This is fascinating, so let's just think about that. So 1 and 2, yeah, okay, I can see that now I stare at it. So you can see the 8. Let's look at the 8, for example. The 8 is not next to a 7 or a 9, is it? So it doesn't contribute to the 18 total that's meant to be at the top of the column. The 3 is not next to a 2 or a 4, so it doesn't contribute to the total. The only things that are next to consecutive digits are the yellow digits, and you add up the yellow digits, you get 18, and you put 18 at the top of the column. So I do sort of understand it. And there's only one more rule. It says cells across the black crop key dot contain one digit which is double the other. So if this square here was a 2, this square here would either be 4 because 4 is double 2, or 1 because 2 is double 1. They are all of the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now I'll tell you what, without doing any thought about this puzzle, I will be modestly or moderately surprised if this line isn't somehow to do with how you break into it. I'm just thinking about how one would go about constructing a puzzle like this, and it feels to me like you might well start in the top left of the grid. You might well see what the properties are if you build a big zipper into the corner. So perhaps the 0 and the 16. 0, what does that mean? So 0 means that nothing is consecutive in this column. That doesn't feel helpful at all. Now actually the other thought I've just had is 39 is a jolly big number. Maybe we'll think about that. I'm actually thinking about the secret. Now, the secret is something I tell only my very favourite people. If you're watching this video, you're definitely one of my favourite people. So I will tell you the secret. And the secret of Sudoku is that a complete column of a Sudoku sums to 45. And that's because the digits 1 to 9, which we know will be the occupants of this column, sum to 45. That is the triangular number for 9. So if a clue is 39, almost everything in the column has to be consecutive. Digits summing to 6. Or a digit. It could just be a 6. So this could be... Yes, this could be something really weird like this. If I then go 7... no, 5, I put 5 there, and then I go 7, 8, 9, I put 6 at the end. That would work, wouldn't it? 24 plus 15, with the 6 being out of sequence, would take us up to 39. Okay, but it could be other things. It could be 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 add up to 6. So if we had... I don't know, we sprinkled the 1, 2 and 3 throughout the column so they weren't next to one another. But you could have... you couldn't have 2 and 4 in this column out of sequence, i.e. not connected with a consecutive number. Because if you had 2 and 4, then 1 in the column ought to be consecutive with something to contribute to the 39. But 1 wouldn't be, because 1 can only be consecutive with 2. That's very strange. So it's not 2 and 4 out of sequence in this column. Now the other way of making 2 digits add up to the gap between 45 and 39, i.e. 6, is 1 and 5. 1 and 5 would be okay though, wouldn't it? Because the 1 could just be... Yeah, you could make the 2, 3 and the 4 consecutive, and then the 6, 7, 8 and 9 consecutive, and the 1 and 5 could appear anywhere, providing they weren't consecutive. Okay, so it's probably not that. Let's go back to this zipper line then. So this zipper line, it's got 5 digits on it. Well, okay. I can say this digit is at least a 7 straight away. And that's to do with the black dot, actually. If that was a 6, these digits would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then what would I put on the black dot? Now, black dots... Oh, I've got something in my eye. Sorry. It's probably a hair from my haircut. Ah! Can't see. Sorry. I watched Superman 2 yesterday, which is my favourite of the Superman movies. And... the effect when I take off my glasses is, I don't think, similar to when Christopher Reeve takes off his glasses. Most extraordinarily good-looking man. Anyway, let's get back to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here with 6. What would we put on the black dot? Remember, one digit needs to be double the other, so the minimum digit on here would be 7. And therefore, you can't put 3.5 on. So there's no possible combination. You could put 8 on, but that would have to go with 4. So this digit in the corner is at least a 7, I'm going to claim. But I think we might be able to do better than that. If that was 7, and I didn't put 4 in here, 3, so this was 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. That could be 4, 8 then, actually. No, oh, okay, sorry. No, I thought we might be able to eliminate something else rather more straightforwardly. 16. 16. How is 16 is even? I know, I know that's a completely fatuous thing to say. But all I was thinking about that is that 16... Okay, I am going to think about that, actually. How do you make consecutive digits in Sudoku sum to 16? There are two things that immediately strike me about 16 as a number. It is even, which means that we can't make 16 by just joining two consecutive digits together. Because if you add an odd and an even number, you will always get an odd number. 16 is not odd. So we know that we're looking at more than 2 digits for this total. Now, what we're not looking at is a series of 3 digits, because if for example, you tried 4, 5, and 6, which get you quite close to 16, they get you to 15, that will never work, a 3-digit sequence, because this digit is not divisible by 3. And so imagine, how do we do this? Let's... any 3-digit sequence of numbers, if you sum those numbers, you will get a number divisible by 3. And that's because, if I make that x, so I'm going to say this is a sequence of numbers with this number being 1 less than x and with this number being 1 more than x. Then you can see that the sum of those 3 numbers is 3x, because that's 1 less, that's 1 more, so 3x. Well, 3x is divisible by 3, clearly. That's the nature. That's its nature. 16 is not divisible by 3. So we are not looking at a situation where we have 3 consecutive numbers in this column. So we must be looking at least 4 numbers. But if we took 4 numbers that were a consecutive sequence, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 add up to 10. 2, 3, 4 and 5 add up to 14. And 3, 4, 5 and 6 add up to 18. And we skip out 16. So the only way we can get to 16 is going to be a pair and then another pair. And these pairs are not going to be continuous. So we could have... the thing is, there isn't only going to be one way of doing this. There's at least 2 ways I've come up with in my head. There's 2 ways. There's 2 ways of doing it. Because what we could do is you could have 1 and 2 as a pair somewhere in this row, which add up to 3, and then 6 and 7. That would work. But you could have 2 and 3. That's 5. And then we could have 5 and 6. Now, if the next way, if we go up to 3 and 4, I don't think that works. Because 3, 4, 5, 6 we know adds up to 18, which is too many. So okay, there are 2 options. It's either this or this as the pairs along here that are consecutive. So we could put 1 and 2 there, for example, on the black dot. And then you'd have to have 6 and 7. Oh, no. Oh, that's good. Oh, what a love. That's beautiful. Right. This is a lovely idea. I love that. Right. I don't quite have it yet. Okay, what I've noticed is that these consecutive pairs don't go in any of those 5 squares. They can't exclusively live in this land here, this blue land. Because imagine they did. The nature of a consecutive pair of numbers is they differ by 1. Well, by the zipper logic then, they're equivalent. So let's say those 2 squares. We made these, I don't know, 5 and 6. These are 1 different, but we're adding up to a common number here. So that would mean these 2 squares have to be 1 different from one another. If this is, let's do an example. Let's do it. If that's 7 and this is 5, 6, this must be 1 and 2, mustn't it? The 5 needs, whichever one of these is a 5 needs a 2, whichever one is the 6 needs a 1. And these can't be consecutive because of the 0 clue at the top of the column. There is nothing consecutive in column 1. So what that means... Oh, right. Okay, so we've got... okay, actually, it might be more complicated than I thought this. So we've either got... Well, because we can't occupy this space, it looks like what we could do is we could put a domino here of one of these pairs and there. But what would happen if we put a domino there? If this was 7, if that was 7, 6, this would be a 1. That might be okay. Let me just think about this for a moment. I can't work out whether I think... If this is 1, 2... And that's 7, 6... I think there might be a few ways of doing this. I'm not sure. Okay, the only way of doing it where you use this domino, because we know this is at least a 7, none of these numbers is 7 apart from that one, so the only way of doing it with the purple pair and not using those 4 digits is if we go 7, 6, 1. Right, I can disprove that actually, I think. Okay, because now... Well, okay, first question, where do I put 9 in row 1? 9 can only go here, I think. 9 can't go on a zipper where the... Well, in fact, that's... Is it that? Oh no, have I made it? No, it's okay. Oh, goodness. I had a horrible feeling then that I could have just written 9 in to either row 1 or column 1, because I'd forgotten one of the basic rules of zipper lines, which is that you can't put 9 on them. You can only... Well, you can put 9 in the centre, but you can't put 9 in one of the edge digits, the wing digits, because then you're adding up to a number bigger than 9, and there are no Sudoku digits bigger than 9. So, but in this paradigm that we're mulling over, where is 9? 9 has to be here, but 9 can't go on a black dot because we can't put 18 or 4.5 on a black dot. Now, next question, where is 8 in this row? Well, again, if this is 7 in the corner, we can't put 8 on the zipper, so we have to make this a 4-8 pair. But now... I've still got to deal in row 1 with the fact that I need a 1-2 pair. And the 1-2 pair is now going to be in that original blue real estate where it isn't allowed to live, because that's going to create a consecutive pair in column 1, which doesn't work. So this is... Well, no, we don't know whether this is right or not, but we do now know that the corner digit is not involved. The corner digit is not where we put these cells. So, how do we construct the pairs? Given that we can't overlap entirely with this region, we can snip a cell from it, and we can't use this square, so effectively that's become blue real estate. So the only way of fitting 4 cells in, these 4 digits, is to if they occupy exactly this territory. So we have to go into those cells there, and we have to do it. And they have to be discrete pairs, don't they? So it's no good me putting... No, that's it. It's no good me putting 1, 2 on the black dot now, which is a perfectly legitimate way to do it. If we're looking at the purple pair and trying to put them into these squares... Let's get rid of that 9. What valid pair can you put on this black dot? if we're looking at this purple pair, well, 6 and 3 is not available as an option. You can never put 7 on a black dot, so you have to put 1 and 2 here. And now we've got a problem, because the 6 and the 7 have been chaperoned by the 1 and the 2. They are no longer consecutive, so this 16 is not possible. We can't make it work. And that means that actually we're in a different world. We're in, this purple disappears from the piece. We have to use 2, 3 and 5, 6. And that must be 3, 6, therefore. That's the only way we can create a black dot that's valid from these numbers. So these have got to be 2 and 5. And now, well, hang on. Now where's 9? Where's 9 in row 1? I've got a digit, because the 9 in row 1 has to be there now. It can't be on the zipper. So one of these is an 8, which means one of these is a 1. Oh, my microphone's rocking. Do you mind if I just move it very slightly? Sorry. That means I've got it in the wrong place. So hang on, let's think about that. Oh, what? No, hang on, why don't we use that? That's 2 or 5, so that is 7 or 4 by maths to add up to 9 on the other side. And 3 and 6, yes, I see. Okay, 3 and 6 are not available in any of these squares. I mean, I know that's a fatuous thing to say, but the reason that matters to me is 3 and 6 is a natural pair that add up to 9. So what that means is in column 1, I'm not allowed to put 3 or 6 in any of these squares, because if I do, I'll get a 3 or a 6 in one of these squares, and that's impossible. So 3 and 6 have got to be down here. But 3 and 6 aren't consecutive with anything, are they? Okay, and the other digit that can't occupy this space is the complement of this cell that adds up to 9 with this square, which is obviously that is a 7 or a 4, but it's not that 7 or 4. So that digit can't go up. So say this is a 2 in the corner, then we couldn't put 7 in here, could we? So that digit is down there as well. So the complement of this that adds up to 9 with this is down there. And these squares are made up, definitely, of 3, 4, 6 and 7. That's probably not going to be able to be low, because this is an enormous line. But can't I do... I can't have anything consecutive down here. I know 3 and 6 are down here. So if that middle digit is 4 or 7, am I going mad? That cannot work, can it? If this middle digit is 4, I know 3 is on one side of it, and that's going to make that 0 impossible. If I put this as 7, I know 6 is on one side of it. They don't work. Right, this is 6 then. This can't be 3. And the reason it can't be 3 is very straightforward. Those 3 digits are on the zipper. So even if I fill those with the minimum possible digits, one of them will be a 3, and it will add up to its friend on the other side and make this more than 3. So that must be 6 by this logic. Now, that locks 7, of course. This is gorgeous. It locks 7 out of these. That makes that 7, which makes that 2, which makes that 5, that 3, and that 6. And look, because we've got to keep our pairs going. We have to keep our pairs. So we've got 2 plus 3 and 5 plus 6, which equals 16. In this column, we've got nothing is allowed to be consecutive. Well, that can't be a 3. Because if that's a 3 on the zipper to add up to 6, and we have 2 3s in box 7, so that's got to be 4. Ah, I see where that's going. Hang on. That's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. That digit is 1 or 5 only by Sudoku. It has to be a digit lower than 6, and it can't be anything else. So its complement, which is there, is 1 or 5. That one, 1, 4 or 5. So that one's 1, 5 or 2. That one is a very unpleasant digit, isn't it? That could be anything at all. Well, I mean, no, it can't be anything at all, but it's a very excessive pencil mark to make, I think. Unless there's something else that I ought to be availing myself of. I'm a bit reluctant to do that. Where's 8 in column 1 now? Now 8 cannot go next to 9 or 7, or this 0's wrong. So 8 is in one of those squares, which means 1 is in one of those squares. It's a bit difficult to see. I might actually just pencil mark that, because I can't see. I can see I need to keep the 1 and the 2 apart. It's not very obvious, that, is it? Then what have we got across the top? 1, 4, 7, 8. And we know that the 1 is in one of those. We know the 8 is in one of those. Bobbins. Oh, there's a 1. No, hang on. There's a 1, 2, 5 there. So, okay, that's got to be an 8 then. Oh, that's really strange. Is that right? Well, I think it is actually. It's certainly true that this can't be 8. So it has to be another valid digit. Yeah, I think that's right. So that's got to be 8, which is in that position. So that's 1. That's good. Look, that's knocking a 1 out of here, which knocks a 5 out of here. Now, does that help us or not? I don't know. That's definitely not 8. Now, here's another little... Oh, this is gorgeous. Right. This can't be a 1-2 pair, can it? Because that's going to break the 0. So there must be a 5 up here, which means this isn't 5, which meant now in my 1, 2, 5 triple here places the 5, which means that digit has become a 1, which means that digit becomes a 2. So that this is sensationally good. It's really beautiful. Now that got me another, so that's now an 8. These digits are 4 and 7, opposite 2 and 5, which makes sense. And we must be able to do better with these digits now, he says. Well, let's work this out. So, actually that one's... Okay, that one's seeing 1 and 4, so it's 2, 3 or 5. That can't be 2 because that would be 4. If that's 3, that would have to be a 3. It might be okay. If that's 5, that's 1. Oh dear. I think is the statement we're looking for there. That trail has gone cold, hasn't it? Sudoku then. I will resort to it. Xenonetix, how could you do this to me? Actually, it's not very easy for me to see how to do Sudoku. 5 is in one of those squares. 1 is in one of those squares. 8? No. Oh dear. What could it be? Is it this 39? What do we know about that? Oh, okay. The 1 The 1 is not consecutive with the 2 in this column. That's doing something, isn't it? Because one of the options I looked at, well, we need the non-consecutive digits to add up to 6, and we know one of them is now 1. So either the 2 and the 3 are also not consecutive with anything, or the 5 is not consecutive with anything. Okay. What does that do? I don't know, is the short answer. I'm sure it does something. Golly gosh. Is it something to do with where 2 goes in this column? 2 can't be here, can it? So 2 is in one of those 3 squares. And do we know... We do know that the 2 now has to be consecutive with the 3, don't we? Or am I going mad? No, we don't. We don't. That would be good if we knew that. No, because it could be 1, 2 and 3 that are not next to each other. So if that was a 3, if that's a 3, you can't put 2 next to it. And that would mean that the digit that was also non-consecutive with its friends was 5 in this column. So if that's a 3... No, hang on, no, that's wrong. I'm getting this wrong. I'm getting muddled up. It's tricky. It's tricky to think clearly about this and talk at the same time. If that is a 3, 2 can't be next to it. So 3 is included in the count of non-consecutive digits, which is, I'm heading up towards 6. So 1, 3, and then 2 would have to be, well, 2 wouldn't be consecutive with anything because 1 and 3 would be in those positions, and this can't be a 2. So everything would work. If that's 3, as I suspect it is, that works. Now what happens if that's 5? If that's 5, can we put 4? We can't put 4 next to it. But you might be able to put 6 next to it. Oh, hang on. Here's a okay, I've got a totally different idea. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, I didn't spot. That's very clever. Okay, I've been made to look silly on camera again. Here is a different way of thinking about this column. I worked out that the digits that are non-consecutive in the column are either 1, 2 and 3 or 1 and 5. That means that 4, which I've already put in the column, has to be included in the 39 count, which means it must be consecutive in its position, which means that digit must be consecutive with 4, and that means it's 3 or 5, and that means I've got a pair. Now, I know that means I should be able to do something. What does it mean? So the 4 will now work. And if this was 5, that's going to be 3, and then 2 will be kept away, and that will work. So that's the way I think it's going to work. And if this is 3, that's going to be a 1, that's going to be 5, so that does work. The 3 will be consecutive with 4, so that 5 mustn't be consecutive with 6 in the column. Oh goodness, I don't know what that means actually. So if this is 5, 3, 3. If this, there is a 3 in one of those squares. That's always what happens. There's a 3 over there. I wonder whether I'm actually meant to pencil mark this. I mean, it doesn't feel very appetizing, I have to say. Oh, no, hang on. Maybe that is what I'm meant to do. Because surely what we've worked out is that digits like 8 are going to have to be consecutive. In fact, 9. Oh yeah, there is definitely something going on here. There is definitely something going on. Here you go. That's a 6-7 pair. There, that's it. Right, spotted it. It's taken me an age. I'm so sorry. But I do now think I understand what's going on. Okay, and the thing I've really missed here is I've been focusing on the digits that I'm trying to keep out of the sequence, if you like. What I should have been doing is saying, well, 39 is a big number. Therefore, a digit like 9 in this column, well, that has to be consecutive. What is 9 consecutive with? It's consecutive with 8, isn't it? Now, 8 can't go in these squares. Actually, neither can 2 now I think about it. I mean, this is getting me to the same point, that this is a 6-7 pair, but the way I was seeing that was that I needed to keep the 8 and the 9 together. I could see they had to be down here. And then I was thinking, okay, well, I need a consecutive pair here, and the only odd digit available now is 7. So, because we know that it's either the 1, 2 and the 3 or the 1 and the 5 that are out of sequence. So these have to be capable of being in sequence. Yeah, I mean that's right, isn't it? That in particular this digit must be in sequence, given it can't be a 2 and it can't be a 5 and it can't be a 3. Yeah, that has to be in sequence with something. And if it's 9, it won't work. So these have to be 6, 7. These have to be 2, 8, 9. Now, actually, though, does that help me or not? Well, that's not 2. And the 8 and the 9 have to be consecutive. So that means this has to be an 8-9 pair, and I get a 2 here. That is beautiful. Right, so I get a 2 over there. I'm still not certain I know the order of those, you know, which is a most peculiar thing to have to admit. There is definitely an 8 over there by Sudoku using the power of this little jiggery-pokery. There's definitely a 2 in one of those squares. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I mean, it's not actually clear even where I'm meant to look, is it? Is it that 20? It can't be, can it? 20. How are we doing that? That could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They add up to 20. Although that's probably not going to work, is it? Because, yeah, that 4 would need to be in the sequence for that to work. In fact, yeah, maybe this 20 is restricted. That 4 can't have a consecutive digit next to it. This can't be 3 or 5. So it's not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is it? Again, it's one of these even numbers, a bit like the 16. So how are we going to make it up? It's not 2 digits, obviously. It's not 3 digits because it's not divisible by 3. There's no 4-digit sequence that adds up to 20. Like a continuous sequence. We've already said 3, 4, 5, 6 add up to 18. 4, 5, 6, 7 add up to 22. So And the only 5-digit sequence that does add up to 20 is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we've ruled that out because the 4 can't be consecutive. So we do need another situation where we've got 2 pairs being added up. Now, what are those 2 pairs? Is the next question. We know they can't involve 4. They can't involve 3. The 3 is over here and it cannot be consecutive with the 2 and the 4 in the row. So do we have to use 1 and 2? If we didn't use 1 and 2, we can't use 2 and 3, we can't use 3 and 4, we can't use 4 and 5. So we'd be adding up to two numbers that are much too big if we don't use 1 and 2. Because you'd be adding up 5 and 6 and then 2 other massive digits. So you have to use 1 and 2, and you have to use 8 and 9. And if that's all true, this is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, because if I have to use 1 and 2, and I think I've proved I do in row 7, then the only way of doing that, I can't put the 1 on this side of it, so that's a 1. That's resolving that as a 3, which resolves that as a 3, which resolves that as a 5. Now, how does that work here? So it is. It's 1, 3 and 2 that are out of sequence, and everything else is joined together to get to my 39 total. I've still got to think about where 8 and 9 go in this row. I'm well aware of that. Let's keep going though. What else can we do with this new knowledge that we've got? We get a 5 here by Sudoku. These digits are well, that's big actually. Because when I was looking at this row and saying I've got to put 8 and 9 as a pair in it, I was looking at that pair thinking that's a very nice place to put it, but that's just been scuppered by this naughty 5 appearing. That's very odd, isn't it? So in fact, I've got to put 8 and 9 as a pair somewhere over here, which means this digit is 7, because it can't be the 8 and the 9 I need to put over here together in order to add up to 20. Now, I'm going to pencil mark. I am proud about it, but I'm going to do it. I'm very, very keen not to make a logical oversight here. So I know one of these is 3. I know it's not that one actually. I know this isn't 6. So, okay, so this domino contains a 3. So if I was to put 8 and 9 here, I know that should be an 8 and a 9 as well to keep them together. That doesn't work, does it? So now I have to put 8 and 9 into this sequence of 3 cells. So the middle digit must be an 8 or a 9. And it either goes that way, which it doesn't actually. I can see that straight away. That's very beautiful. Why is this not 8 or 9? Well, it's because it's on the zipper. So if it was on the zipper, what number could it be? It would have to be 8, wouldn't it? And what would the zipper add up to? 9. And what would that digit be? Nothing. Because it sees 8 and 9. That doesn't work at all. So this digit is not 8 or 9, it's 3. So that's 3, that's 6. This is no longer 6. This is an 8-9 pair. 3 is in one of those squares, almost locked onto this zipper. 6 is almost, well, no, it's not really almost locked onto the zipper, but it's in one of those squares. Okay. There's probably this zipper next, but I'm not sure. Let me mull that over for a moment. Have we got any clues that affect this? We have got this 22 clue. Oh, funny beeping noise. There's a big beeping noise outside. Sorry, I don't know what that is. Okay, come on, Simon. These are 6, 7, 8, 9, aren't they? So that is 7, 8, or 9. Because there's a 6. Oh no, it's not. 6, 8, 9 is looking at it. That's a 7, actually. 7 in one of those two squares. 6, 8, 9 here. That's not 8. Okay. Let's think about, I mean, I think it's going to be this line somehow. I'm not exactly sure where to devote attention to it. I mean, I can see this digit. It can't be that. It can't be 9, actually. Because if it was 9, that would be 8, wouldn't it? Because of the 1 here. 1 plus 8 equals 9. But that would make those 8 and 9, and that would break this square. So this is not 9. And it's not 8. If it's 8, that would be 7. And it's not 7 because 7's in its row. And it's not 6 because that would be 5. Good grief. Okay. So this is not 5. 5 it's a maximum of 4. If it's 4, well, it must be 4. There's a 3 on the zipper. It's 4. That's the only thing it can be. That's weird. That's absolutely wonderful as well, isn't it? So 4, 3 plus 1 equals 3 plus 1 equals 4 twice. Okay, so we do that twice. That's very weird. So that's a 3. These squares are what? 4. One of them is 4. Oh, look, I can do more with 4. I can do more with 4 here. 6 and 9. No, I can't see how to do that, but that was exciting for a moment. So this zipper gets finished. This 20 clue is done. We haven't thought about the 22 clue or the 29 clue. Is that all we've got to think about now? That's, oh well, apart from, of course, and I shouldn't neglect it, Sudoku, which is very likely to be the next step, I think. That's not 4 because of this. No, okay, sorry, I'm not immediately seeing. Oh, if that's 4 and 7 on a zipper, that's got to be 5 and 2. That's something I got wrong the other. No, I didn't get it wrong. I just failed to see it for months on end in a video a couple of weeks back. Okay. Oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. I've got a bad feeling about this. If we're going to have to, if we're really going to have to work out sort of all the options for this line or this line, that feels very difficult. Can I do anything Sudoku-wise before we have to resort to such shenanigans? 4? No. Oh, bother. I thought I was going to get a digit there, but I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nearly. Nearly. That digit's 5 or 6, I'm going to claim. Because if you look at the pencil marks I've put into this box, I've got a 1 given, I've got a 2 there, I've got a 3 here, I've got a 4 pencil mark here. I don't have a pencil mark for 5 and 6, I think. But I have a pencil mark for 7 and an 8-9 pair. So this is sort of a, it's only got the options to be 5 or 6. Which is almost interesting, isn't it? but I don't think we can do anything with that. Let's try 3, 6, 8, 9 here. 3, 6, 8 therefore, because there's a 9 in the box. So these are from 1, these are 1, 6, 8, because of the 3 in the column. It's a sort of skyscrapery thing of 9s, but no, I don't think that's useful. Oh dear. 1 is in one of those 3. Can we do anything else? What about this row then? Let's have a look at that. 2, 6, 8, 9. Oh, so that square can't be 8 or 9, can it? That's only got the ability to be 2 or 6. I don't think that's good enough, but it's a little interesting. That square can be 2, 8 or 9. Right. Is there any consecutiveness I have to avoid in a row or column? That's something I haven't really considered very hard. I've been very keen to obviously make sure things work. So in this row, oh, that's finished, so that's finished, so let's not look there. What about that one? I've got the 2 needs to be out of sequence and is. The 3 needs to be out of sequence and is. The 1 needs to be out of sequence and is. And everything else is in sequence. This one, we worked out to be a 1, 2 and an 8, 9, and it just is. However I fill it in, it works. Oh dear, this is tricky, isn't it? I don't think there's much going on in this box, because I suppose 3 has to be over there. Does that do something? Don't think so. I'm trying to spot it, but I fear what we're going to have to do is to pay some attention to Sudoku. I mean, it's outrageous being made to do this in these Sudoku puzzles, but I think we're going to have to. So do we think it's this column, 22, again even, again not divisible by 3, or this column, or row, sorry, which, oh goodness me, neither of these feel appetizing, I have to say. Maybe this column? There's an 8 or a 9 here that's not in the total. And that 1 or 2 can't be included in the total either, because this digit can't be anything useful, can it? Given 1, 2, this is a 1, 2, 4 triple. So these are all not counting. And yet we do have to achieve a 22 total. So, but we could do a 2 and a 3. But if we did a 2 and a 3, we'd still have 17 left to make up. And we can't use 8 and 9. So that feels we'd have to have a lot more digits. I don't think that's possible, actually. Oh, maybe we could have, if we had even, even, odd. There's no even, odd that gets to 17, though. I'm just doing a quick trawl in my mind of that. I don't think there is. 4, 5, 6 is 15. 5, 6, 7 is 18. Yeah, that doesn't work. So I'm quite sceptical about this having the ability to be a 2, but I think more fundamentally we've got to think about how we're going. I suppose what this could be is 4, 5, 6, 7. That would add up to 22. Right, and that looks quite plausible, doesn't it? From the perspective of like where this 4 is. There would have to be a 5 and a 6 here. We'd know the order. This would be a 7. Okay, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 there. But we have to prove it. I can't just allege it because I can see it works. I have to prove it. So how am I doing that? What we're going to say is 22. We know it doesn't involve a 1 and a 2. We know it doesn't involve a 2 and a 3 because what we're left over with doesn't work. So, and we know it's not a 3-digit sequence. So if it was 2 separate 2-digit sequences, it would need to be something like, well, it just can't be. There's nothing it can be, because we've run out of room for the digits. Given it can't involve 3, 2, if we go up from that, 3, 4 is clearly impossible. If we use 4, 5 and then don't use 6 and 7, we blow the top off the roof, don't we? That's too many. So I think for a variety of reasons, all we can do here is to have a sequence of 4, 5, 6, 7, and we can see the order. So we have to make sure that the 4 is consecutive with 5, is consecutive with 6, is consecutive with 7. That means that's 7 and that's 6. These are not 6 anymore. We've got, well, this has to be an 8 or a 9. It can't be a 1 or a 2 because this is a 1, 2, 4 triple. So this is a 1 or a 2. And that can't be consecutive. Otherwise we've blown up the total again. So we've got to make sure that's a 1. That's a 1. Aha. Now, what, if anything, does that do? This is now a 2, of course. This is a 1, 4 pair. This is a 5. This is a 9. This is going to be good. 9, 8, 6, 3, 8. This is 6. This is 2, apparently. That's not 2 anymore. And we might be able to do better than that, I think. Just not sure where. We could do 5 and 7 here are resolved by this 5 at the top. 7 is in one of those 2 squares. Oh, come on. I've still got this one to do, haven't I? But look now, I know a bit more about it than we did before. And what's clever about this puzzle as well is that your sort of the intuition the puzzle teaches you has led us in the right direction. That's a naked single. So it's not like I've sort of been stuck for ages going, I just don't know what to do. Eventually, you know, like we had a choice of here or here, and it looked like this one was under more pressure, and indeed so it proved. Now, what do we need? We need to put a 7 into this row, so it's got to go here. This has got to be 8 or 9. This is now not 7. These 2 squares are a 1, 2 pair. Well, there must be loads of Sudoku I could do here, but I'm just not seeing it. That's a 5 now. Well, that's given us a consecutive pair in this row. 3, 4 and 9. Weirdly open-ended, actually. Oh, this must be done, isn't it? No, it's not actually. Okay, so probably then we are going to have to think about this. Oh, I see. So, what's going on? Is it something to do with 8 and 9 in this row? That we've got to make the digits that are not consecutive have to sum up to 16. So if 8 was not consecutive with anything, then 9 wouldn't be consecutive with anything, because obviously 9, if 8 is not consecutive with anything, the 9 automatically can't be, because the 9 can only be consecutive with the 8, and then you'd have 17 of non-consecutive digits, which cannot be because this is 29. So the 8 is consecutive with something, and therefore it cannot go there. Bingo. That felt right. I hope that's true. So the 8 is consecutive with something. The 8 is over here. But we've got to make sure that... let's put the options in. 4, 8, 9. So have we identified any digit? That 3 isn't consecutive with anything. So we need 13 more worth of digits that are not consecutive. And that's going to be, given the 8 here is going to be consecutive, it's going to be 2 more digits that are not consecutive that add up to 13, that are not 6, 7, because the 6 is consecutive with the 5. The 8 is consecutive with something, so the 7 or the 9, so that doesn't work. So it's the 4 and the 9 that are not consecutive, which means the 8 and the 8 must be consecutive with the 7, and the 7 is there, so that means that's got to be 8. These two must be not consecutive, so that one forces the order. That cannot be 9. That's 9, and I'm going to check this row, do not worry, just to make sure that that wasn't an absolute abomination of logic. I don't think it was. I think it felt correct to me, but that's something I want to just think a bit harder about. 6 here, this is 8, this is 2, and that's 9. Now, all we have to do, I think, is to check this row. The Sudoku works, so I think we're okay. Non-consecutive in this row is that one, and that one, and they add up to 16, and that's what we should. I'd had a horrible moment when I looked at the 29. I was like, oh no, I need 29. No, I need 29 of consecutive digits. So using the secret, 45 minus the non-consecutive digits, which add up to 16, does give me 29. I'm pretty confident about this then. Yes. It's been out for a month. 24 people have solved it. It's brilliant. It is a brilliant puzzle. Xenonetix, very, very unusual, but in the best ways. This is one of those puzzles that, you have to learn how to think about it. And I totally get as well why the testers were saying it's sort of really good for your basic arithmetic, because you have to think, or I had to think about it at least in terms of what is the nature of a consecutive pair of numbers. Just at their very basic level, they must add up to an odd number. 3 consecutive digits must add up to something divisible by 3, etc. And the way that this played out was, I love the break-in. I love the fact I couldn't put consecutive digits on the top bit of the line, because it would put consecutive digits on the bottom bit of the line and break the 0. That's gorgeous. The whole thing is just chef's kiss. Loved it. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.